To me, everything on here sounds like the dude recorded the entire album on hot rod drumsticks. Like Afraid to Hit.
Yeah. I say, I think this sounds like it was recorded for NPR Tiny Desk?
You did.
Yeah.
And this song specifically, the way it opens,
Yeah.
like you can almost see the screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So it's in my brain. Okay.
Can't unhear it.
This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum. This is a show about the 500 albums that Rolling Stone says are the best, and we're gonna talk about them ad nauseum.
Welcome to Backwards Beats Podcast. My name's Carl Carter Fansteel.
I'm Dan Woodard.
So happy to be with you on a rare Tuesday night recording session.
Yeah, doesn't that seem weird for you guys?
I know, they must be absolutely losing it right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have got a big one today because this is wrapping up our first season.
That's correct.
Episode 20.
That's right.
Oh. What do you think?
It's exciting. This has been a fun 20 episodes so far. Actually, 21.
Yeah, oops. You'll hear more about that if you've listened back to our Harry Styles episode or listen forward from here.
That's right.
What do we got on the platter for today?
So this is album 481 on Rolling Stone Magazine's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list, in air quotes by me, which is the album If You're Feeling Sinister by
Belle and Sebastian.
That's right.
Not just Disney characters' names. A whole outfit, it seems.
I don't think there's a lobster.
Or a hot chick who's going to hook up with a beast.
Correct. Had you heard of Belle and Sebastian prior to this?
No, not even a little.
Me either.
Which, you know, when we moved on to, when we look ahead in the list, we go, okay, what's next? I didn't know what to think.
No. And this has been an interesting journey so far because the title of greatest, it sort of puts forward a certain thought, at least in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so far we've learned that I think they ebb and flow for the criteria for putting things on this list.
Yeah, I don't think we've found consistency in greatness. A mere 20 albums deep.
Yep. And this isn't foreshadowing negativity or anything. It's just, it's been a journey between some real standout albums that make perfect sense, and then some albums that it's like, if this was the list of albums you should probably listen to.
Versus the greatest album.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's been a couple cold out, no thanks.
Yeah, one solid turd.
May it live there forever.
Yep.
You know, not knowing anything coming in, I didn't even know if Belle and Sebastian were literally a duo, right? I have no history, and this is the beauty of having a Dan Woodard in your life. What is a Belle and Sebastian?
Well, I would love to tell you that, but before I do that, I have a little bit of housekeeping.
Okay.
So what's really been exciting about this journey has been watching the audience grow from just people we know to strangers. When we look at our metrics, we can see people from other countries. So welcome for all of you from Germany. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Good day, Canadians.
We still love you.
We still love you. At least this podcast does. And, but what I've noticed is about half of y'all are actually following us. And that really would help us. If you really like this content, if you could give us a follow on whatever platform. The two big ones that matter the most for audience growing are Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I don't have an allegiance to either one. And then really pretty please if you could give us a rating. Obviously a 5-star would be perfect. That really helps with these podcasting platforms don't have a big algorithm, but if there's an algorithm, that's the thing to do. So we haven't asked many times, but before we get into this, pretty please, we would appreciate it if you've been enjoying this content.
Yes. And I like the warm fuzzy of it.
Yeah.
We text each other when we get a new subscriber. So
yeah, we're counting the ones and twos here still, but
no shame. I do it for zero.
Yep.
So Belle and Sebastian.
Belle and Sebastian is this little group out of Scotland. They were formed in 1996 with the founding member of Stuart Murdoch on vocals, guitar.
Did you know my wife can't say Stuart?
Really?
She says Stuart.
Stuart?
Yeah, she can't say Stuart.
Oh, is she like one of the Californians from SNL?
Oh my God. Oh, I got to show her a clip now.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a fun fact. We have a friend whose cat's named Stuart and she can't say it.
Yeah, I think Stuart's one of the characters.
Might be. Oh man.
Here we go.
We love some SNL.
Deep dive.
So sorry.
Yeah. So,
back to Stuart.
Stuart Murdoch on vocals and guitar. Stuart David on bass. And then later joined by Isabel Campbell on cello and vocals. Stevie Jackson on guitar and vocals. Chris Geddes on keyboards. And Richard Colburn on drums. And on this album, we do have Mick Cook, who plays trumpet. He joined a little bit later after 1996. I didn't timestamp it, but the origin of the name is from a French children's book, Belle and Sebastian, and it's also a 1960s TV show.
Okay, so they're playing on some stuff. It helps that they have an Isabel in the band as well.
It does. Yeah, and how would you classify their style?
There were so many ways I was going here because I was using influences I could hear, but all of the influences that I heard were post this album's release, like The Whitest Kid Alive, which is very indie home production, bare bone kind of, a look. I really just wanted to get that on the algorithm.
Yep.
But I would put it in the indie camp, though indie is not a style, and independent music is its own thing. Though there are kind of these trademarks, which is using what you got.
Yeah. Why is that? Why is having an independent label indicative of a certain style
or sound for me?
Sound,
it's a sound for me, and they are not using a lot of heavy production tricks.
No.
It's a lot of clean instrumentation, often not played perfectly or obsessed over.
Right.
And in a good way, too, especially for the time, right? And so I think those two aspects attribute to indie production.
Yeah.
For me.
I think the world would call this indie pop.
Yep.
Chamber pop, which I didn't know was a genre, but
Chamber pop.
maybe because it features a cello and recorders.
And a trumpet.
And a trumpet.
Okay, I'll bite.
Okay. And then twee pop.
Okay, now this
I don't know
term,
what that is.
I don't like this.
Okay. Why?
Yuck. I just don't like the way it comes off the tongue.
No.
Twee pop.
Twee pop.
TWEE.
TWEE.
Ugh, I don't like that.
Like I'm going up a twee.
As the kids would say, it gives me the ick.
Yeah. They're pretty DIY, but don't sound like punk.
No, and that's the thing is it sounds like good restrained songwriting. Mm-hmm. There's some mix errors here and there that lead me to go, okay, this is very independent. But if you look at their discography, I did not count the sheer amount of albums. They obviously have access to making music because they've let out a ton of content.
Yeah, it took a while for them to really catch on. It's interesting also looking at some of the stuff. They say they have a lo-fi production. And I think the lo-fi production is more what you're talking about, not like lo-fi, like chill jams to study by lo-fi.
Sure.
But I think the recording's pretty clean.
No,
overall.
I give it credit.
Yeah.
What we're not hearing is the trappings of a 1998 pop rock album. And there's a lot of prototypes. 1998, who are you looking at? You're looking at Counting Crows and REM and stuff like that, where you had access to some of this kind of sing-songy, down the middle, heavy male vocalists, clean guitars, maybe some pianos, where they were getting glossed up.
Yeah.
Not here. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So in 1996, they released their debut album, Tiger Milk.
Love that album cover.
It's a good album cover. It's kind of like Mother's Milk.
It is. It does kind of have that grayscale for one,
Yeah.
right? And there's a boob.
There's boobs, yep. It was a limited vinyl pressing of 1,000 copies and then later reissued, which is so weird. When I was doing the musician thing more full time, we made a demo and had 700 copies of our cassette made, and we were giving out to bars and clubs and that sort of stuff where they would promptly then throw them in the trash. But that 700 cassettes was like all the money we had.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't cheap to make.
No, they weren't. They weren't. And my bandmate had found this piece of artwork and had actually paid the artist to use it.
Okay.
So it was like, couldn't we have just used like some free art or just like draw a stick figure? But it was a cool piece of art. I can't remember the artist's name, but yeah, we spent way too much on those 700 cassettes.
And artwork rights.
In 1998, Belle and Sebastian won the Best Newcomer at the Brit Awards and beat out some more mainstream acts. In 2005, they scored a soundtrack for the movie Storytelling, which is I never heard of this, it's sort of an independent film. But I can see that. Their music is very evocative lyrically.
Yeah, I think it turns into... Now-and-day comparisons that really struck me here are like Iron and Wine. Mm-hmm. Decemberists without all the he-ho-hum of steam engines. But like storytelling, personification of a main character and walking through, like there's kind of a signature to it all. And I think a lot of that lends itself to cinema.
Yeah, I get a little, from a storytelling perspective, not sonically, I get a little Harry Nilsson.
Okay, I'll buy it, yeah.
I think we talked about his album, The Point, which is actually a story, a children's story. But musically, there's a lot of narrative going on in some of his music there. Doesn't sound like Harry Nilsson, doesn't sound like Lime and a Coconut or anything like that. But that came to mind for me.
There are storyteller-focused artists, that really want to kind of sing more than about their own emotions.
Yeah, and they really built their following through college radio, which sounds like college music
at all. Yeah.
A lot of word of mouth, and I think this is it's pre-internet. I mean, the internet was out, but it was AOL, you got mail time.
Yeah, I would say 98, we are just flirting with the idea of Napster.
I was building websites in 98.
I was still scrambling the AB button on my parents' cable television.
That's awesome. So then, If You're Feeling Sinister, which actually, this came out in 90, it was released in 98, it was recorded in 96.
Got it.
It was kept throwing me off every time I looked at a date. I'm like, well, what's the date? Yes, recorded in 96, released. And I think it was released in 96 in the UK.
Oh, made its way across the pond
Yep.
to my Spotify vision here.
Yep. Produced by Tony Dugan, good Scottish name, and Belle and Sebastian. So
they had a hand on it as well. Mm-hmm. Independent much?
Right.
Ring the bell.
I think, sonically we talked about this. There's some orchestration. There's a cello. We mentioned the recorders. There's like a recorder chorale later in
Yeah. You see a little bit of that now. Like Wolfpack loves leaning into that kind of stuff.
Yep. Stairway to Heaven.
Iconic.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, we used to play in a bar duo. We were called the Relentless Drunks, and our big act was we'd do a live power hour, 60 songs, 60 minutes, but they're all snippets, and we would do Stairway, and I would pull out a recorder and just hack away
Nice.
at that solo as everybody tried to like not spit their beer out. So good.
That's awesome. You know how we do our fake ads on this podcast?
They're fake?
Some of them. Most of them are real, but some of them. There was a sketch comedy like radio show, Dr. Demento, that I think predated me, but I heard it in syndication and had all kinds of parodies on it. And you just reminded me of that because he had a version. He did like song parodies too, like Weird Al Yankovic. Mm-hmm. So he had the Elevator to Menswear was his parody of Stairway to Heaven.
I love that.
Yeah.
Elevator to men's.
I think that was Dr. Demento. It could have been, actually, that could be Weird Al just on Dr. Demento. I think, whatever.
He's brilliant.
Fact check me. What else do I want to say? Oh, Pitchfork put this as number 14 in their top 100 albums of the 90s.
That sounds like a very pitchforky thing to do.
Yeah. And The Guardian has cited this as one of the best indie albums. And yeah, they kind of get lumped in with some other indie pop bands or even were cited as influencing like the Decemberists, people like that. So they definitely started off slow, modest sales. I think they might have gone like gold in Norway or something like that. I forget. They had a couple chart mentions, but none of the big markets.
Yeah. And if you look at the numbers on Spotify, which I so often rely on, there's nothing jaw-dropping here. They're solidly in the millions, which tells me this is a crowd that likes to listen to an album through, right? And so you're not seeing as wide margins and gaps as we saw, even on like the far side where one would be 10 million listens and one would be 1 million. You just really don't have those gaps. So there is an outlier here. We'll talk about later.
Yeah. The other thing, they were known for no music videos.
Okay.
Before Metallica did that. Oh, but then they stopped.
Boo hiss. Apparently they have a Tiny Desk concert.
Not Metallica.
No. Belle and Sebastian.
Yes, they do.
According to you.
They do. 2 years ago.
So fairly recent as well.
Yeah.
I will say I really like the old format on like crappy camera when Bob would have to interject on everything.
Yeah.
I do miss that a little bit.
Yeah. They sound good. And they do one of the songs off of this album. They do the Judy and the Dream of Horses.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep.
I like that tune. Anything else on Belle and Sebastian?
I don't think so, man.
So I vote we get into the content after this short break.
Let's do it.
Life is busy. Between managing your household, juggling work, raising kids, and trying to keep your sanity intact, you don't have time to deal with everything. Sometimes it's not about being right. It's about being heard. Maybe the daycare overcharged you. Maybe the barista still spells your name wrong after 6 years. Maybe Chuck E. Cheese gave your kid a slice of cheese pizza with no visible cheese. You could let it go. You're reasonable. You've grown. But deep down you know someone should be held accountable. Then you need Karen for Hire, the first ever on-demand outrage outsourcing platform. Whether it's demanding expired coupons to be honored at Whole Foods, screaming about inappropriate music in a Planet Fitness, or launching a full-scale high-volume war at a Chuck E. Cheese pizza over pizza crust thickness. Karen for Hire deploys certified public tantrum experts within minutes. Our elite squad of Karens are trained in fake legal threats, vague references to the Better Business Bureau, loud cell phone speaker mode during confrontations, and emotionally manipulating customer service reps with phrases like unacceptable, disappointed, and my children were watching. Consider the following scenario. We ordered the Mega Fun Family Platter, and they only gave us one balloon animal. That's a call for Code Fuchsia. Our Karen arrives in cheetah print leggings and wedge sandals, ready to turn that Chuck E. Cheese into a courtroom. Whether it's a minor inconvenience or a completely made-up grievance, Karen for Hire will escalate the situation so you don't have to. Karen for Hire. Let her ruin the day. Now offering premium platinum Karen services including HOA takedowns, small kiosk interrogations, and wedding objection pop-ins. Visit KarenForHire.biz today or shout, "This is ridiculous!" into your Ring doorbell to summon a representative.
Well, you can say goodbye to my sleep problems.
Yeah, and I feel like it'd be a good palate cleanser as well.
Yeah, totally. So to get into the guts of this album, we're looking at 10 songs on this release here. The first tune being The Stars of Track and Field.
Do you know that they're beautiful people?
The beautiful people. The beautiful people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how the song sounds.
It sounds this is a song that has a slow burn with its build, right?
Yeah.
They kind of fold instruments in a delicate way, which I think is a nice way to set the mood for your indie, non-indie album.
I'll be honest, the first 2 or 3 times I listened to this album, I was skeptical.
Why so?
Well, this song kind of feels like the car is warming up.
Yeah. You don't have a stunning singer out the gate. There's no pretty glossy production on them. The instruments are a little far back in the mix as they make an appearance. The bass or a cello kind of rubs with a chord change in a funny way. And this all happens in the first 20 seconds.
Yeah, it takes a minute. And this album took a while to grow on me. I do like this song. It's a nice little Mixolydian kind of tune, except for when you get to the bridge. And it's the beginning of some pretty interesting melodic choices that we'll hear throughout this entire album.
Yeah, these are not conventional tunes. There ain't a song on here, with the exception of maybe one I can think of, where you're going to find it easily replicable. Like, you can't just sit this section in. Some of the parts are simple, but it doesn't mean that the composition itself is simple.
Yeah. This isn't giant steps or anything like that, or like harmonically or anything like that, but it's there's some depth, and I think it's in the storytelling and the lyric writing that really sets this apart. Mm-hmm. It's unorthodox.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah.
I too, to kind of paint the scene here, join you in your whole. When I first listened to this album, I was like, eh, and it took me 4 or 5 listens to really connect with it and go, okay, I really am like finding cool little Easter eggs. I really like this part. I think I was telling you, I was driving and singing along to it subconsciously. I was like, all right, it's crept in.
Yeah. At first I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to tell these songs apart. And some of it, and this goes to the production, and it kind of goes to I guess it's the energy that is
the delivery.
Yeah. So Stuart Murdoch as a singer, not the most aggressive vocalist.
No, not by any means. He's kind of and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but kind of like flat. Like, everything he says sounds like a question. Like,
yeah, and I have a theory as to why, but I'm not going to spill that quite yet.
Okay, cool. I look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, I think there's 2 interesting musical notes that I've made here. We were just listening to the song to get our ears freshened up, and there's a build up in the chorus. And the first interesting note is the dynamics that occur as they start singing the refrain. The band gets louder, but the drummer actually is using dynamics and is crescendoing.
Yep.
Which is so common. And I find this interesting. I'm going to pick on guitar players again.
Please do.
Because guitar players seem to struggle with dynamics. They think the only way that they can play quieter is just to turn down, as opposed to just hitting the strings softer. Mm-hmm. And that's a technique thing.
It is.
You have to, it's hard to play quiet. And it's hard to play quiet and in time.
And on guitar, if you really know your instrument, you learn about the threshold. There's settings, especially on these single coil instruments, where you attack it a certain way, it's totally clean. You attack it just a little harder, and you know where it breaks up and becomes a little fuzzy or distorted. And that's intentional often. It makes it challenging. There's a lot of calibration that goes into it.
Yeah. And I don't think guitar players have a hard time going from mezzo forte to forte.
No. There's a pedal for that.
Yeah. Or just hit harder.
Yeah, there you
go. I do like, there's a bit of a tremolo that ends up on the guitar during that part. That's kind of a cool effect.
It's not overproduced, but it stands out nicely.
And what's fun to me about this as the music nerd is he repeats the phrase, stars of track and field you are. And he goes to the E chord, which is the 5 chord in this key. And I think the second time through, he goes to the 5 minor and sings like the flat. It's nice.
Oh, major minor is always a fun change.
Yeah.
It's tasty, and it doesn't happen accidentally.
Yeah.
Is I think what we can highlight and acknowledge here is that's not an easy thing to just stumble over.
Yeah.
So I think they have some skills in the toolbox here, and some stuff to play with. They're kind of showing it off without showing it off.
Yeah, there's some stuff here. I get a little essence in certain spots of Man on the Moon by REM.
I get REM throughout this entire album. So yes.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. I will also say I would be surprised if there weren't some. This is like Xanax Ben Folds a little bit.
Yeah.
If you think about instrumentation and use Ben Folds 5 specifically, right? His band. You have a lot of this piano playing going on. You kind of have a similar singing approach, though I think Ben's a far better singer. And you still get this level of storytelling. So what would you call Ben? Would you call him indie?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I would. He's far more dynamic in his vocal delivery.
Oh, totally. But this is very this flirts in the algorithm would probably, if you spin this up, eventually feed you some Ben.
Yeah. I like that. Xanax Ben Folds.
We love you, Stuarts.
We do.
I can't let this song pass without my favorite part, which is this big, bold, fat. Whoever recorded this trumpet did a fantastic job.
All right.
It's such a good trumpet part at the end of this tune. It's really, really nice. It fits the song beautifully. It reminds me of there's a band who did a very early Tiny Desk concert. There was a bunch of horn players. What are they called? Belarus or something like that. But it was this that'd be a terrible entendre if that's right. But I will come correct on the album notes on this. But it was a couple of horn players who sang and had this really nice presence. Guys got pretty good intonation. Whoever's playing the instrument.
That's Mick Cook.
Mick Cook. The producer?
No, he.
He's the guy who slid in later. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
I loved the warmth of that. It really tied the whole tune together for me, and it gave us something. When you looked back on it, go, oh, we grew to that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So nice piece.
It's a really nice trumpet.
It's like better than everything else trumpet.
Yeah.
That's all I got on that.
He went to conservatory, I guess.
No doubt.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's scooch over to song 2 here, which is called Seeing Other People. This is 6.5 million listens, just under 4 minutes here. And it intros in with a piano intro.
Yeah, and I like the piano intro, even though I do think it sounds like the Peanuts a bit.
It does have a Garibaldi feel to it. Yeah.
This is a real good example of the lyrical density that permeates throughout this album.
You should say more about that.
He phrases his lyrics in the middle of phrases. I'll actually have an example of it on the next song. There's a lot of run-on sentences and phrases stopping abruptly. But I do like the opening line of this. We lay on the bed there, kissing just for practice.
Love it.
Yeah, this is a song. It's really the narrator. He's involved with a physical relationship with another boy who's still closeted, still sort of living in denial. And the narrator just wishes he would just come out so they could seal the deal. But then he kind of gives him some shades, it'd be better off you just were seeing other girls. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some sauce on this one.
Yeah.
Topical too for 96, Nowadays the hot old guy take, but it's kind of fad, to be edgy about this and really own that flag, I think here in 96 you just didn't see it so outright.
No, you didn't have in 96, what did you have that would even touch anything, homosexual?
Now
Will and Grace, right? You would have, that was the closest you had
it
to
was
anything.
and that was almost its own meme of itself. Leaning into mannerisms and stuff. And,
yeah.
And so I think this is a risk they take, and they tell a very good story around it. And it definitely fits the production, the whole feel, his tonality, right?
Yeah, again, it's a very almost monotone delivery throughout this entire thing, which was actually my first complaint is, as I was listening to it 2 or 3 times through, at first I'm like, I get nothing. I was getting no emotional charge. I actually had to listen a little bit more closely to what was going on to start appreciating what what's really happening. And it wasn't like it was like bad performance. I mean, there's some.
Yeah,
there's,
I mean, like,
there's some
look,
stuff, but
no one's writing home about Stuart's vocal abilities, but I think it fits the catalog.
yeah, it's unique. I don't dislike it. I was just at first I was bored.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think my sister was giving me crap the other day because we're almost always in agreement. It seems, and but I couldn't agree more. It was one of these things where you go, okay, does this actually match the mood? And it does. I think it sounds like the instrumentation. It fits in. It's piece in the puzzle.
All right, fine. This guy's the next Pavarotti.
I think I agree. No, I'm kidding. This song has a kind of a similar build to it, right? Introduce an instrument, introduce another instrument as the story goes on. Anything that sticks out to you in the instrumentation here?
Well, I kind of picked on the drum part, but I do like the drum part, but it sounds like it's a Casio keyboard stock drum part.
To me, everything on here sounds like the dude recorded the entire album on hot rod drumsticks. Like Afraid to Hit.
Yeah, I say I think this sounds like it was recorded for NPR Tiny Desk?
You did.
Yeah.
And this song specifically, the way it opens,
Yeah.
like you can almost see the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Solid second pick on an album, I think.
Yeah, topical. And they do not shy away from topics.
No, not at all. It only gets a little more odd and fun and a little testy at times.
Black Flag-esque.
Oh my gosh. How about that? Without the depression. Or at least screamed in our face.
Not screamed in our face, yeah.
This brings us to song number 3, Me and the Major. This one takes a significant dip in listens down to just shy of 4 million listens. And I think I know why.
You don't like this song.
No, I do not. I've started skipping this song.
Okay.
It is a sonic cluster F. See, we don't have to hit the button. That harmonica is obnoxious.
It is. It's a mixing problem.
Yes,
Right, it's not-
entirely.
Yeah.
It's also a slightly overplaying problem, but it's just in your face. I can't. I have a 2-year-old. I can't do both these things simultaneously. I've listened to the song 5 or 6 times, but I literally skipped this song on the last 2 listens today.
Yeah. This song cooks though, tempo wise.
Oh no, it moves. It's a change of pace from the first 2 for sure.
Which is probably why he's playing so loud.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. This song has some of the interesting vocal phrasing that I think that I like actually. So I'll read a lyric I'll read where the pause is. So the line is, me and the major don't see eye to eye on a number of things. He'll take a guy like me and put him in the army because the Queen's own army makes a man out of you. So he pauses on A.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that sort of, I don't know, it's like tongue twistery. I've got to get a phrase out, but I need to have a downbeat.
We've spoken about this before. If you're a good enough songwriter, you just kind of bend the song to your will, right? Like the James Taylor phrasing, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about that. This is a good example of someone who's going to go, I'm going to put these lyrics in because I want them in here. And it doesn't sound like he's stumbling over himself or that it was ill-founded. I think it's quite interesting. It adds texture.
Yeah. I wish I knew him when I was in college. We had this assignment where we were given a poem and a piece of music and we had to make a melody and counterpoint to it and try to make it fit. Like there was a harmonic rhythm and the poem was just like, it was impossible. It was terrible. I mean, like I'm sure somebody with more talent at doing that could have done, but like first shot, I'm like, I have no idea how to rhyme orange with elevator and get it to fit harmonically and rhythmically. And it was
A mess.
It was a challenge, but he does this actually with pretty solid skill.
And with the same exact, the funny part is this song's intensity levels up. His delivery ain't. He doesn't start growling his notes or Joe Cockering at all.
No, he's still pretty flat mezzo forte to mezzo piano.
Speak and spell, man.
Yeah.
E.T. phone home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I if you want to add anything else on this one, you're welcome to.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it as much as you do. It's my least favorite song on the album.
It's my least favorite song by far, but I like the shift in energy. And but yeah, like as I said, I think my main complaints here are the mix and the harmonica kind of blowing your head off.
There's a better version of this song when the Bare Naked Ladies sing a song called "Go Home."
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's very similar. It doesn't have a harmonica, but like rhythmically, the guitar rhythms.
I'm really surprised it took us this long to actually mention Bare Naked Ladies. What a great comp for this album.
Yeah.
Once again, singers with a lot more range, but also who were known, the two of them, for really sticking to their guns and their parts.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the band's kind of discarded, and we only have one singer left when they do decide to do anything.
Yeah.
But their style and their influence, these wholly acoustic, rocky thing, is very much alive in this album.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a huge fan of Bare Naked Ladies still am. And they've had hit or misses since Stephen Page left. Their last album that came out last year was actually pretty good. Too many songs about being 50, which is so weird coming from when they had This Is Me in grade 9 when they started out.
Sure.
Talk about range. And then also last year, Pearl Jam on their album Dark Matter, Eddie Vedder writes a song to his daughter, and it's about like, well, I'm old and you're going to college thing. Like, oh my God, everyone's aging out, man.
Yeah. And I'm right there with them.
There with them, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, Bare Naked Ladies. Man, great band.
Yeah.
We'll scooch over to a song I like a lot more, which is like Dylan in the Movie, song number 4. This one, you get a nice uptick. Almost, it's just over 9 million listens on Spotify and over 4 minutes. Ooh, edgy.
So here I think I'm going to talk about Stuart's delivery.
Great.
Because it doesn't change. So Stuart was sick for like 7 years with ME/CFS, or chronic fatigue syndrome. And he was cut off from the world with it. Basically, you're just exhausted. It's one of these like horribly debilitating illnesses that on the surface, it's like, well, just get up. What's wrong with you?
Totally. Just get up.
Right? But it's exhausting. There's actually a pretty prominent YouTuber, Physics Girl, who got long COVID and has been suffering with this for 2 years. And just like after 2 years, just recently, now she's standing for the first time.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So he had that. And a lot of these songs were written during that time of sort of isolation. And I wonder if, I mean, maybe he was just a mellow dude before this, but I wonder if any of that plays into his vocal delivery.
I was just thinking, it has to.
Yeah.
I want it to.
Yeah.
Let that be a charming part of your story.
Yeah. So, yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that tracks.
Yeah.
Again, I could just be making up the causality, but...
Also gives you content to write about, not to like, I mean, I'm trying to silver lining here. You know, if you're an artist and you're affected by something so devastating on a daily basis that no one really understands, talk about it. Inkwell.
Yeah, I think there's a character in this one, and he's describing a girl or a boy walking home alone through a park, and he has like fears of being followed, and then eventual peace of solitude, and I believe that Stuart, he kind of grew used to that, you know, during his time, just like being bedridden and alone for all that time. So I don't know if it's a direct correlation. I saw some stuff about it.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about the bass line in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I jokingly said, it sounds like Sweet Jane, but fast.
It does.
Yeah. Sweet Jane, Cowboy Junkies.
Yep.
Love that song.
I know it. It was on the radio sometimes.
I love that whole album. It was also featured in Natural Born Killers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I like the movie.
Yeah. I also get, during the bridge of this, I get some Kinks vibes.
Yeah, I would bite on the Kinks vibes for sure. There's a nice kind of throwback that's going on there. The choruses are what speak to me here. I really, really enjoy the chorus in this song.
Yeah.
There's some good vocal layering going on. Even the message, too, is a little creepy.
Yeah.
They're not after their money, they're after you. Like,
yeah.
It's kind of ominous, but I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And I don't know, there's something very... You can close your eyes and put yourself in the place of, you know, walking and feeling like you're being. Everybody has at some point in time experienced, am I being watched or am I being followed? Even just for a second. And as creepy as that feeling can be, they do a very good job here of outlining it for some reason.
Yeah, what turned me on to actually starting to like this album is the theater of the mind that gets painted with the lyrical content and how this all fits together.
And it, like every song. I mean, that's a consistency you will get throughout the album. You could read this as a series of short stories, perhaps.
Yeah. And I love in the outro, it surfs between minor third and the major third, the three major.
So we're seeing that again.
Yep. And then finishes on the 4 chord. Sorry, on the 6 chord. On the 6 chord.
I'd say 4 chords nice and hopeful.
No,
this was
chord.
not.
No, finishes on the 6 chord. So I guess it's like, oh, now we're minor.
There it is.
Yep.
It's a cool way to go out on this tune. I think that the tempo on it's really nice as well.
Yeah.
You know, they've done a good job by staying kind of tame instrumentation wise. No one's going off taking gnarly solos. The dynamics really don't kind of push the, to the red on your compressor ever. However, nothing drags. So there's something here. They kind of found a formula.
I agree. Yeah, well said.
4 very different songs to open up on. None of them are like each other.
Right.
And you could actually carry that on into the 5th song on the album, which is Fox in the Snow.
But this is the first song that hit me in the feels.
This is my favorite song on the album.
This is a
I
good song.
think. I'm going to say it. Carl's calling it. But, man, this is the one that broke me in. Where I went, I think I like this.
Me too. It's not my favorite song, but it's a good song. And I found a really nice live version of this on YouTube where vocally he's settled into it a little bit better. Vocals are sometimes hit or miss performance-wise, but in the live version, I'll put it in the show notes if I remember.
You hear that, AI?
Well, you won't put the YouTube link. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But what I think is interesting harmonically is there's this constant, you go to like the 3 dominant, which is 5, 7, and 6. So this song's a major key, and so the 5, 7, and 6, it just goes between major and minor. And I think that fits thematically.
Well,
really
it creates
nicely.
It's a lot of tension release that you end up getting out of it on a short scale at a slower tempo.
Yeah.
And a very intimate performance. Like, it's right in your face.
Yeah.
This is one of those circumstances where not being a perfect singer actually pays off. You kind of gain all your points in authenticity.
Yeah. So what's interesting is I'm assuming the guitar player, at least, maybe not. I'm assuming they're playing with a capo because the song's in C sharp.
Mm-hmm.
But that means the whole piano player has to deal with all those sharps.
Oh, poor guy. Capo that piano.
Yeah. But yeah. But the reason I bring that up is you might capo your guitar to fit the singer, right?
Of course.
And you still get those nice open chord shapes on the guitar.
Which you can hear they're using.
Yeah.
This tune, I think, is positioned perfectly on the album, right at kind of the halfway point. It's coming after a lot of clever songwriting, and this one isn't trying to be clever as much as it's kind of earnest.
Yeah, I feel like this is like the impermanence of love and potentially death.
Yeah, no, there's heavy feels of survival and how fragile life is across the board in this one.
Yeah.
To hit one in the feels, you were incredibly accurate.
Yep.
And I don't know, I wasn't looking for the slow one to be the one, but for me, I don't know. I think it fits their kit so well.
Yeah.
And this song, and I could make the argument that pretty much most of these, I think only get better with time. Like, I would love to watch a modern performance of them doing this because I don't know how old they were in 1996, but they're talking about some heavy stuff all the way through. I feel like you almost get more poetic and choosy with age on how you present this topic if you were bright enough to figure it out the first time around.
Yeah, and you just have more reps too.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know when they wrote the songs compared to when they recorded them. Sometimes people write songs like right in the studio, and the song doesn't really get its legs until they play it live.
Yeah, that's true.
And so sometimes the version you hear on the album is the worst version.
Yeah, there's a couple songs out there where on the radio where they only play live versions,
Yeah. Because the band's like, oh, we figured this out now, and This is the song we
use
meant.
this.
Yeah.
I think that this is such a nice moment, and it really caught my attention.
Yeah.
With that said, let's grab a quick break.
Let's do it.
Are you or a loved one suffering from sudden onset lesbianism? Are you tired of plaid shirts, emotional intimacy, and knowing where the clitoris is? You might be eligible for Tricoxagen, the once daily pill that gently reminds your body what it's been missing, aggressive disappointment, and unsolicited dick pics. Tricoxagen works by flooding the brain with 200 milligrams of straight male energy, collected from Joe Rogan podcast listeners and truck stop urinals. Side effects include confusion, regret, sudden cravings for brunch with the girls, and pretending that fantasy football is interesting. Do not take Tricoxagen if you value autonomy, emotional maturity, or basic satisfaction. Results may vary. Most users revert within 72 hours. Tricoxagen, because who needs sapphic joy when you can have straight boy tears and a mattress on the floor?
I think that tastes better than ham water.
Yeah, it depends on whether it's served hot or cold, because I'd prefer it hot, maybe tepid.
Yeah, I prefer room temperature. After you've finished your ham dinner at Easter, and then you go back and the ham water's just sitting there, that's something special.
That's a different texture than I think most people are used to as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. We should write them a note.
We will.
Welcome back to Backwards Beat Podcasts. We are looking at the album If You're Feeling Sinister by Belle and Sebastian. This 1996 release has given us much joy so far in conversation, and we're going to jump back into the back half of this album.
With the happiest song on the album.
Ironically titled,
Get Me Away From Here. I'm Dying.
Ooh. Hooray!
Hooray. Why is it happy, Carl?
Why is it happy?
Yeah.
It is happy because it has almost 28 million listens.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it happy, Dan?
Well, because it's using Pachelbel Canon.
Indeed.
Pachelbel Canon.
It is using a well-known set of chords that you will hear at any wedding.
If you don't know Pachelbel's Canon, you do. And if you listen to Christmas music, you've heard the version of the Christmas Canon.
Yep. And if you haven't heard that, you've been to a graduation, heard Vitamin C saying, as we go on. Isn't that the canon as well?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So this these chords, this progression has been used time in and time out over the course of, modern music.
Yeah.
And even not so modern music. And they shamelessly use it here too.
You can't copyright chord progressions.
No, you can't. They do. So they kind of rinse through it the first time. On the second series of the chords, they do a cool little turnaround, the last two chords that get you out of it.
Yeah, they deviate from it. It's not the entire song.
No, not by any means, but it's notable.
Right.
And we both looked at each other and said it before we started recording.
We did. It was a moment.
I just wasn't going to pull the trigger. I wanted to stay away from it. I thought it'd be hilarious if neither of us mentioned it.
We have to.
I know. This is kind of our job.
Yeah.
But ironically, though the song has a major feel and keeps a pretty solid tempo, it's not draggy, the content does not quite meet the song.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Which is wild because the song is the most heavily listened to on the album by a long run here. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, if I'm going to, write a song about a happy topic, I'm going to write it in a major key. That's just kind of like the, songwriting 101.
Right.
Now, as we've alluded to in other episodes, there are times where, you can absolutely flip the script. Here, because the chord progression is so well known, you don't really expect the topic matter, and I don't have the lyrics in front of me, to be so jarring.
Yeah, it opens with, get me away from here, I'm dying, play me a song to set me free. I'm not sure exactly what that means. No one writes them like they used to, so it may as well be me.
Mm.
I didn't get super deep into the lyrical content of this one. It's definitely ironic.
Yeah, and
The
it's
music.
silly to put that there. I mean, this person seems to be challenging some sort of a norm.
Yeah.
Songwriters, to say the least.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some love. I think there's some, well, there's some sadness. There's a little murder. There's a bunch of stuff.
Just a hint of murder.
Yeah. Said the hero in the story, "It is mightier than the sword. I could kill you for sure." There's definitely, or I could only make you cry with these words. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Yeah, this isn't so laid out as the others when it comes to the storytelling here. This feels like a lot of kind of internal strife hitting paper.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I actually really enjoy this song for the vibe, and I understand why it's so well played. It just sounds good. Mm-hmm. Still not my favorite.
Oh, I love that we're holding out for the surprise on your favorite.
Yeah.
By chance, is your favorite song the next one, If You're Feeling Sinister?
It might be.
It
It might be.
If mine wasn't Fox, it was going to be Sinister.
Yeah. Yeah. I have almost a two-way tie, but yeah, I'll lean towards this one.
All right, very good. This is the title track on the album. The numbers don't really reflect it on the Spotify streaming. It's sitting down in the 6.5 million range. It's not a short song, almost 5.5 minutes long.
Yeah. Opens with children in the playground.
Yeah, but like, think that MGMT song Kids, but that weird shriek never happens.
This song is way too serious for me to actually say this, but in the lyrical delivery, I get some Flight of the Conchord vibes.
Ooh, any particular tune?
I've been trying to put my finger on it. I'm going to stumble over it, but
It would have to be Brit's part, not Jermaine's.
correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yes, I can see the scene. I've yet to be able to. I keep trying to think of what it is, and I listened
Fair
to a
enough.
bunch of them to see which one it is.
I'm just stoked Flight of the Conchords will now be in our liner notes.
Yeah.
If y'all haven't checked out the comedy band Flight of the Conchords,
They're the second most popular folk duo in New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yes.
And you can hit Murray up for some booking information
right.
because they had a whole show that supported this act.
Yeah.
The song "Business Time," our most beautiful girl in the room, I think sealed the deal on my marriage.
Oh yeah.
I met Kate when I was hosting an open mic. It just happened to be down the street from where she was living, and I was going and playing the singing every Wednesday night, and that's where we met.
You told her she could be a part-time model,
Uh-huh.
but she probably have to keep her day job.
Could probably have to keep your other job. Yeah. I'll buy you a kebab. But I would cover that song, and I think the charm, wit, pure skill, and lack of other good-looking guys there really
Yeah.
did it for me.
Yeah, it wasn't. You didn't do If You're Into It, or If That's What You're Into.
If that's what you're into, would have been a great take. I definitely covered Business Time more than once. That one's more of a vibe, though. But yeah, no, I can hear the Flight of the Conchords. The accent certainly helps. Not
Yeah.
that all accents are the same, but, you know.
Yeah, but there's nothing funny about this song. It's interesting because it's a story of two individuals, and I believe it's a nonlinear narrative.
Yeah, it's kind of funky because they tell the story of an individual, and then they kind of abandon that plot and then go double tell the story of another.
Yeah, so it starts off with Anthony killing himself,
Yep.
and then Hillary does the same.
And those are the first words of her arc.
First of his too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is right. How about
Yeah,
that?
it's the same line.
Hillary sounded like she had a little more going on for her.
I feel like she was trying to reconcile her faith,
Yes.
and she didn't get any solace from what she was getting out of this.
Yeah. They kind of paint the big picture, then go into detail.
Yep. Yeah, and Anthony. So it starts off with him. I forget the line, but walking into death.
Mm-hmm. Here, I can pull the
Yeah,
lyrics
yeah.
right here.
I should have wrote it down because it's
So
interesting.
what it says is, oh, that's Judy.
Yep. Yeah, you have to hit play. This is good
know.
pod.
I love my pod. I
If
told
You're
you
Feeling
guys
Sinister. Yep.
that Dan showed me where the microphone icon is.
Yep.
Anthony walked to his death.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty blatant, because he thought he'd never feel this way again. If he goes back to the house, then things would go from bad to worse. What could he do? That's pretty dismal, or pretty grim, you know?
Yeah.
And then it starts, Hillary walked to her death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they repeat that same line there because she couldn't think of anything to say. Everybody thought that she was boring, so they never listened anyway. Gah.
This is intense. That's
Yeah.
why the Flight of the Conchords thing isn't really the best reference.
No, I agree. They go on to talk about Hillary for the rest of the song, though, after Anthony's story.
Yeah. He basically wants to remember a certain thing and is like, this is as good as going to get. I might as well just tap out. She has this whole faith thing that she's dealing with.
They have a great line. Would you like it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nobody was really saying anything of interest. She fell asleep. She was into S&M and Bible studies. Not everyone's cup of tea, she would admit to me. That one stuck out.
Yeah.
And then they kind of double tap that her cup of tea, she would admit to no one. Her cup of tea, she would admit to me. Mm-hmm. And that's a really nice pre-chorus.
Yeah.
And this song, they tease the chorus. They kind of hold off until almost 3/4 of the way through the song before they ever first sing the chorus for this tune.
Yeah. And they definitely wrap it up with If You're Feeling Sinister, that's the chorus.
Yep.
Go off and see a minister. Your chances are you'll probably feel better if you stayed and played with yourself.
Yeah.
So she didn't find her way.
Nay.
Yeah. It's a dark song.
Indeed. It. I can't help but think of Sinister Minister
Yeah.
by Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, featuring the monster bass player Victor Wooten. One of the great works by them. And it's just that title. It's the only thing these songs have in common.
Yeah. Have you been seeing any of the stuff he's been putting online? His like deep thoughts?
No, but I'm aware Victor's been this way
Yeah.
forever, ever.
He is just so wise. And
Yes.
the stuff he's putting out there is just good for the world.
He's kind. He's thoughtful.
Yeah.
He has a whole thing he does called, so his name is Victor Wooten. It's called Woot Camp. Mm-hmm. And it's literally a camp for meditation and budding musicians. And he hosts it down in outside Nashville, I believe, on a farm. And it's just kind of a retreat, a getaway. And I knew one guy who went, and he said it was life-changing.
I bet. He's just, the stuff he's been putting out, just these little blurbs. He has a thought, puts it out there. Think about this. Good stuff.
Oh, yeah, check him out. They have an album, I guess it's a 2-album set called Live Art. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it will not make the 500 list, but my God, I wish it did. It was one of the most influential pieces of music or collections of music I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned wish it would make this list. So as we mentioned, this is the last episode of this season. That doesn't mean we won't be providing content.
Yeah, we intend to upload every single week for your listening pleasure. But, you know, the reason we've capped our seasons at 20 episodes is to give us some catch-up time. Dan's going to be jumping out of the country for a little bit. Mm-hmm. I have a vacation, so it gives us a chance to catch up and you know, calibrate, take some of your feedback. We've gotten some nice feedback. We just learned you could give feedback via Spotify.
That's right. And we've had a few comments, and most of them have been positive. A little bit of jibs here, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We can take it.
We're not going to suddenly, fall in love with musical theater. Sorry, Julia. Anyway, this tune, I think, is just a really, really well-written song. Nothing is forced. The storytelling, as it is bleak, is really powerful. The phrasing is damn near perfect. I couldn't imagine anybody else doing this tune.
Yeah, and I love when he was molding through, I guess it's like the pre-chorus, he starts basically singing the scale. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't sound like I was joking, he's practicing his solfege, but he's not. It's very musical in the way it comes up, and it tells the story beautifully.
Yeah, I think this was when I first heard the tune, I was like, why did this make title track? It's clear to me why. It's definitely one of the outstanding songs on this album.
Yeah, maybe the best written song. Yeah.
Yeah, I get behind that. Let's scooch on over to song number 8, Mayfly. This is taking a drop in listens on Spotify. It didn't even breach 300 or 3 million, sorry.
This song sounds to me like Homeward Bound by Simon and Garfunkel if they made it with The Cure.
Yeah, so I was going to say this, I'm not a Morrissey fan.
Okay.
But God, this sounds like Morrissey, Smithy. I'm not a fan of this tune, dude. And I'll tell you what, I don't mind the song so much. The guitar playing, there's a couple of lead choices, and I'll die on this hill. That's not art. I understand the diatonic scale. I understand how to play outside of that and blue notes and stuff. Those are just cold wrong notes. That were played with the gusto of someone going, "No, I'm gonna do this. This is cool." And it's not cool. I don't like it.
And that can work in the song So What by Miles Davis on the album Kind of Blue. Phenomenal. Will that make this list?
It will make this list.
Okay. It better.
I'll
it's
make
one of the best albums ever made.
And it's regarded that way.
Yeah.
They couldn't miss this.
But one of my favorite things about it is in that song, when Miles takes his solo, it's like the second note in the solos is kind of flat. And it's like, well, that's the note. And then he has this other run, and that he doesn't quite nail it, but he's like, well, the rest of the take's good, so good enough.
Yeah, good enough. So what?
So you can't, right. It's perfect for that song called So What. So he definitely farts on a couple notes on that, but it's not the same as this.
No, here's the difference. Miles Davis is Miles freaking Davis. Right. He's out there taking risks in the improv world. People know what they're buying into in absolute heroin jazz, right?
Yeah.
Here, this is a lead line in a band of 7 on a guitar that's not driving the song per se, but he plays these couple of passages. You play them beautifully, and then they'll have this one really, really raunchy, sour note or octave, I guess it might be.
Yeah. They're not Radiohead.
No, and they really don't ever do it again, so it just does not fit.
It's jarring.
It upsets me.
And I don't like his vocals on this one either. I think his vocals are a mess on this one.
It's weird. He suddenly gets a falsetto out of left field.
Yeah.
It's not very strong. I can leave this one up with me in the major and be pretty happy.
I do like the drummer switching between 2 and 4 and then the 4 on the floor, the English 4 thing.
Yeah.
I get a little bit of They Might Be Giants vibe.
The bones are good here.
Yeah.
It doesn't do much for me. Also, something that is highlighted in this song for me, the female singer, Isabel, not terribly powerful for performance from her either.
No.
Almost sounds like an afterthought.
Yeah.
This one did not hit home.
But they thought about the saxophone.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
They have some sort of synth effect on it. Kind of sounds like a mayfly.
Cool. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Look, take the risks, kiddos.
Yeah.
But I'll
They all
pass.
can't be hits.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really adds to the album, in my personal opinion.
It's all right.
Yeah. Next. The Boy Done Wrong Again.
Man, they love the minor 3.
My God, do they ever. And they really love kind of this, it's not depression. It's like they skip depression and go straight to consequence. But man, this song is riddled with guilt.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I feel like it manifests itself in the song. Like there's a really nice cello part in this, kind of haunting, but the piano doesn't match. I feel like they're fighting each other. And I don't know and I think the piano on its own probably sounds okay. The cello part's better than the piano part, in my opinion. And they kind of get in the way, and it feels a little confused. But that could actually also be a choice based off of...
Sure, if you want to say contextually, it makes sense to kind of confuse the listener.
Yeah.
The piano overall in this entire album, though, tends to, in my personal opinion, lean on the side of being a little busy.
Yeah.
Like this player really likes to really like work both hands. It's really hard for them to kind of sit on a whole note octave on the left hand.
Yeah. Well, there was one song we didn't mention on mic, but there was some song we mentioned when we were listening on the break that we liked the piano part.
Oh, and here's why. He simply played a right hand only lead of a scale, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah,
where it fell.
I can't remember the song. But
I think it was in Sinister.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
It really, really beautiful part. The talent's there, but yeah, arrangement wise, I don't know that I'm willing to throw the credit that they intentionally had the parts step on each other.
Yeah, but I do think the bass movement of this song is really cool, and I think I like the way it interplays with the arpeggiated guitar part. I think that they fit nicely together.
Yeah, I'm on the string section all day over there. Yeah, the piano just kind of clutters just a touch.
Yeah.
There's also a funny thing that kind of happens vocally on the intro of the song. It sounds like it's dual taked, like he sings a part quieter over here and then comes in with the...
Oh, yeah. You pointed that out. Yeah.
I don't know what that's all about, but if it's for effect or that's just how they cut it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely... The word shame is used in this song abundantly.
Yeah. I was thinking of Despicable Me, the box of shame.
Oh, yes. Oh, the movie.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Got it. The box of shame.
That's what came to my mind, but I kept hearing the word shame.
That took a second for
Yeah.
me. Okay. We really are throwing all the references out today. This song sounds like its title. It is absolutely an anchor towards the end of this album.
Yeah.
It fits, if you ask me. If you look through the catalog,
Yeah.
there's some fun lyrics here we could quote as well. Talking dirty for a hobby, it's fine. So pour another glass of wine.
Yeah. But if you want to know that where we come in, go to the tippity top of this because it sets the tone. The boy done wrong again. Hang your head in shame and cry your life away.
Shame.
Right.
And then they repeat that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not a very wordsy song.
No, this is not a tongue twister or anything like that. Like some of the other songs, it's very straightforward.
I do like their little turn at the end. All I wanted was to sing the saddest songs. If someone sings along, I will be happy now.
Yeah.
Oh. And that's fitting because
Yeah.
it rolls us into our last tune.
Well, it's Misery Loves Company too.
Oh, yes. Indeed it does.
Yep.
It rolls us into Judy and the Dream of Horses, which to me screams Ventura Highway by the band America.
Yeah. Okay. That's a better song.
It is.
But
it's that kind of progression and attack.
Yeah.
It's right there. It was like a 4-1 type thing, right?
this song might have the most dynamic range on the album.
I against If You're Feeling Sinister, yeah, I'd put them up at each other.
Yeah. It features a recorder chorale.
Yes, for better and for worse.
For better and for worse. The NPR Tiny Desk concert, they nail the part. They don't quite nail the part on this one. Someone runs out of air, I think.
Oh yeah, totally. And they do it kind of. They're like the only instrument in there too. Yeah. It's things like that seal my thought on that whole indie, the DIY-ness of it all.
I wrote, this song reminds me of something, but I can't place it. And then I was going to ask you, what James Taylor song does this remind me of? I feel like I've been trying to think of what this, there's a little bit of a vibe to it, but I don't know.
I could see Carolina in my mind, chorus maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not the timing, just the presentation of chords and the way they move.
Yeah.
I could go there. Yeah.
Yeah. I like this song. This is probably my second favorite. Maybe because of the concept, what it's about.
It's just a wild little tune, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about this girl who is exploring. Well, you can look at it a few ways. You can look at it the innocent way, as a girl who's dreaming of horses. But this is a song about a girl who gets involved in some sexual exploration at a young age. She maybe hooks up with the singer or the narrator once or twice.
Well, no. So for me, it sounds like the narrator's jealous that he was not the one who hooked up with her early.
Well, there's a line about, we can. I forget the line is a bunch of clips. It's like we can make out and do whatever you want.
Yeah, because the first time she did it with a boy when she was young, right?
Yep.
Like that was very clear.
Yep.
And yeah, we can kiss and do whatever you want.
Yep.
But
you'll be disappointed.
Oh. Why would she be disappointed?
Because
Daniel?
she's dreaming of horses. This is Catherine the Great here. She's I think she has some equine desires.
And they are not shy about saying dream of horses. They really beat that to death as well here.
Yeah, she's only happy when she's dreaming of horses. And maybe it's an innocent dreaming of horses. Girls love ponies and things like that, but I think that's not what they're singing about here. They're talking about bestiality.
Yeah, unfortunately. And it would kind of fit the quirkiness of what they're willing to speak about, because so far they're willing to talk about, seeing ministers, S&Ms, and Bible study. We know that they're not afraid of the content.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard this, when you finally hear, like, he doesn't sound like this, but it's almost like Kermit the Frog singing this music. You know what I mean? As far as like the energy he puts into
the presentation. Well, he's chronically fatigued.
Yeah.
So take the lyrics out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I love this song.
Yes.
It's such an easy, fun, comfortable listen. The instrumentation's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really cool use of it. It's a really nice way to wrap up an album, because it kind of shows all of the gifts of it.
Yeah, I think it's a well written song, and if you're not even paying attention to the content, it's going to blow by. And it's a girl dreaming of horses, which is innocent enough. And yeah, it's a fantastic way to end this album.
Yeah. So having ended the album, and knowing where we both stood initially, let's try our new system here that we talked about.
We're going to finish the season with a new system.
Why not, right?
Let's do it.
We'll introduce the new system. So we used to just simply say, would you hit it? Which is kind of a question is like, do you like it? And also, does it belong here on this list? Mm-hmm. We're going to separate those. Mm-hmm. So first of all, do you like this album?
Yes, I do.
I do too. I pleasantly surprised. Mm-hmm. I think we've had several on the list thus far. See the Bright Lights was one of them. Shakira, Harry Styles, both were like, whoa, didn't see those coming.
Yep.
Linda and Bonnie both far exceeded our expectations. Do you think it has a place on the greatest 500 albums of all time?
So walking into... I don't think so. But what do I know? What I was about to say is, walking into this, I was going to say absolutely not. However, if I walk back to Richard and Linda Thompson, I would say the same thing for that one too. However, just because I didn't know a lot about it, it's actually getting a good amount of downloads now that we've released that thing. So what do I know?
What do we know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be the new format, is what do we know?
Yeah.
I too don't know that if I were making a list of 500 great albums, this would make the cut.
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff we said it may have influenced, but it came pretty late in the game too. You can't argue that a 1996 release that probably didn't hit the States till 98 really made a big difference in indie acoustic rock, folksy rock. That much. If these guys were big influences on, take a brand name like the Decemberists that you mentioned, I think we would have heard about it by now. So, though it could have been influential, I'm going to go ahead and assume in my mind this was some hipster pick by the Rolling Stones folks throwing a bone. Not to diminish the album. If they were coming to town, I'd go see them at the 930 Club. I like the album.
I recommend you listen to it, but would I say it's one of the 500 greatest albums of all time?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yep. Well, really fun recap today. We look forward to sharing some really cool side content with you as we take a few weeks to get our ears attuned and jump into the next 20 albums in our way. Anything that they need to know about our upcoming content, Daniel?
So we have some side content. We've talked about a few things throughout the season. We talked about our favorite breakup songs of all time. We have some stuff on that. We do have the misrecorded Harry Styles, Fine Line by Harry Styles. That'll be coming.
Definitely listen to that one. It's just one of these episodes.
It is. And I actually think that the Harry Styles episode came out pretty good, but I think our excitement for being so surprised by liking Harry Styles is more genuine
On the first one.
On the first one.
The unreleased one.
On the unreleased one. So check that one out.
Awesome. Well, until we speak again, I'm Carl Carter Fansteel.
I'm Dan Woodard.
And we so appreciate you spending this first great season with us on Backwards Beats Podcast.
We love you very much.
That was a show about the album If You're Feeling Sinister by Belle and Sebastian. Edgy folk rock tunes that came out pre-2000.
Backwards Beats Podcast is a Tunawood production recorded live at Thought Shack Studios in Halethorpe, Maryland.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find us at Backwards Beats Podcast on most platforms.
Share the love, and we'll see you next week for another deep dive into the next album on Rolling Stone Magazine's Top 500 list. Until then, salt your melons.